Welcome to Sky High Coaching Conversations. I'm Janelle Ryan, global personal coach and author of Become Extraordinary, joining you from the coastline of Australia. This podcast is raw and unedited, just like life. I work with high-performing professionals, entrepreneurs, and elite athletes who are ready to expand their minds into new ways of thinking, create what once felt impossible, and lead themselves and others with confidence. If you're a self-led human who loves growth, truth, intuition, and a lot of laughs, you're in the right place. I'm so happy you're here. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to Sky High Coaching Conversations. This podcast is raw and unedited, just like life. When we mess something up, we can't hit rewind and edit. And I'm not pretending otherwise here. So what you'll hear from me on this podcast is real, honest, and human. My name is Janelle Ryan. I wear many hats in my professional life: thought partner, trusted advisor, author of Become Extraordinary, founder of Sky High Coaching, coach, mentor, speaker, and event leader. And as for my personal life, well, you'll learn plenty as we go. Throughout my life, I've made a habit of stepping into arenas many would say I had no business being in. And not because fear, self-doubt, and imposter syndrome had packed their bags and left the building. Oh no, oh no. They came with me. I simply poured them a glass of wine, tipped some twisties into a bowl, and said, "Fine, if you won't leave, you can come. But I'm going anyway." If we haven't met before, I'm so happy we found each other here. I help people expand their minds to new ways of thinking, create what once felt impossible, and lead themselves and others with courage and confidence. If we have met, I'm so happy you're here. You already know this is a space where nothing is off limits. Career, business, relationships, intuition, money, self-doubt, confidence, purpose, burnout, pleasure, energy, body confidence, leadership, the universe, the quantum, manifesting, spirituality. We talk about it all and more. Before I continue, a little bit of a confession from me. Back in 2015, a client said to me, "Janelle, you should have a podcast." And I, in full honesty, replied with, "What's a podcast?" So it's taken 10 years, one book, global clients, many live and online events, a zillion coaching hours, and a whole lot of life. But here we are, finally making that request come true. What can you expect here? Real stories from my life, my leadership, and the wild experiences I somehow keep attracting. I'm going to tell some client stories too. We're going to be asking deep, honest questions, the kind you only admit to yourself late at night. We'll talk about topics most people avoid: self-doubt, imposter syndrome, fraud complex, identity shifts, purpose pivots, spiritual growth, the loneliness of leadership, the longing for more or bigger, brighter, and bolder, and why high achievers often feel guilty wanting something different. You'll be one of the first to learn about new programs, early bird offers, new meditations. If you're on Insight Timer, you can find me on there. Upcoming events and free offers. And a whole lot of laughs, mostly at my own expense. Now, I'd love to promise a new episode every X number of days, but I'm going to be honest. Clients, travel, events, Ziggy, my gorgeous and naughty border collie, Pilates, family and friends all require my time and presence. And I know life will absolutely throw a few curveballs at me that I can't see yet. So here's the deal. I'll release episodes regularly, but not religiously. Think of them like powerful little gifts arriving at the perfect moment, exactly when you need them. This podcast is for humans who are successful on paper, in real life, in every sense, and ready to evolve again. Not hustle harder, not prove more, not tick another box, but create success that feels like freedom, like alignment, like truth. We'll unpack leadership that starts with the self, emotional intelligence as the gateway to freedom, collapsing time around your goals, maybe even 10 timesing those goals, courage and confidence, why self-doubt is not a flaw, but something to be celebrated, how intuition actually works, the patterns and beliefs that keep you stuck, the tools and techniques that set you free, what it really means to live in a way that feels deeply, wildly you. A few quirky things about me. I once travelled the world cooking for camping tours, even though, objectively, I couldn't cook. I've been robbed by bandits in Bulgaria and mugged in Africa. I've led a group out of an earthquake in Turkey, then found myself in another major earthquake a few years later in Bali. I've jumped off a mountain with a parachute in Austria and out of a plane also with a parachute here in Australia. I've raced down in a luge at more than 100 kilometres an hour in Scandinavia, and I've sat on top of a bus as it wound its way up the Khyber Pass in Pakistan. And yet, I still find myself in everyday situations that make my knees shake. When I was 3, I had an imaginary friend named Jane. I could still describe her to you in detail. And my aunt still swears to this day that she was not imaginary. It's just that I was the only one who could see her. By 9, I'd written my first book. I called it The Supernatural. My fascination with the mystical and the unexplainable, those myths of life, have been with me from the beginning, and I spend a lot of time exploring what's down that rabbit hole. As for those arenas I never felt ready for, classrooms, leadership, boardrooms, foreign countries, writing a book, buying my first home, marriage, step parenting, business, every time I thought, who do you think you are? And every time I went anyway. That's the energy of this podcast. Not perfection, not pretending, not the polished version of success, but the truth, the intuition, the courage, the vision, the humour, and the deep, quiet knowing that you are meant for more. Not because what you have isn't enough, you're so grateful for it, but because you're evolving and there's so much more life to experience. If you're wondering where these conversations come from, most of them are born by the water. I live on the Australian coast, and it's often the ocean, the still mornings, and the salt air that shape the clarity I bring here. Finally, if you're a self-led, high-performing human who likes to elevate and expand, who loves to experience life in its fullness, you're in exactly the right place. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Sky High Coaching Conversations. Let's dive in.
Thank you for being here for another Sky High Coaching Conversation. If today expanded something in you, trust it and allow it to lead you to your next step. Take what landed, leave what didn't, and keep creating the life and vocation that feels unmistakably yours. Until next time, keep expanding, keep creating, and keep leading with clarity, courage, and a little magic.